Welcome, everybody, to Generation Dan. And here on Generation Dan, we're like a family. And
Wow.
by family, I mean you're getting pizza instead of a raise. I'm Atlas Novak. I'm your millennial. Who else is here with me?
I'm Dino, the genetic marvel, and I'd red flag, just boom,
Yeah.
immediately out the gate. And our returning guest is the one and only Clayton. What's up, Cole?
What's going on, guys?
Oh God.
Couldn't do it, man.
So this week we are talking about new jobs and new careers. So Atlas has started in a new line of work and you've changed jobs in like 6 months, right? So you were doing like tutoring kind of thing, like, or is like
Well, no. So I
adult
was doing,
babysitting. I don't know what it was.
So you're doing sex work now, right?
A little bit of sex work. A little
I
bit.
look like, if anything, Dino is the sexy one out of the three of us.
I don't question that, sir.
No. So back about, what is it, 6 months ago, April,
Yeah.
whenever April was, I was working doing medical records for an eye doctor.
Which he hated, to be
Which
very clear.
I did indeed hate. Left, and then went on the path to like becoming a teacher, which takes a while. So I had to like take my CBEST, go hit up the district, get like letters of rec and stuff like that. So in the meantime, I was working in an after-school program, which was like teaching 10-year-olds how to play basketball. It wasn't really like especially rigorous. And then as of this last week, I am a fully onboarded teacher
which is awesome. Congratulations. It's very exciting. Just know that no one's going to like you. Not one person is ever going to like you again.
I'm an English teacher, and I also teach creative writing.
Ooh, there is a very niche group of kids that are going to really enjoy your company, and you will never want to be friends with them. Just to be very clear.
The amount of like, there's always like the one or two kids where I'm like, you guys are Tumblr come to life. I love you.
They're fucking weirdos is what they are.
Yeah.
Full weirdos. Yeah.
So but like, for every one of those, there's like 6 kids who are like, well, I have to take English to graduate, and you're here. So,
true. Like I found that was one of the weird things about English was that there's the worst part about learning about English is English class. Reading books, understanding how to critically think about it, like those were all great aspects of it. But English class, where people are like, you have to read this. We're like, oh, can I read something else? No. Okay. Yeah. How about, and we're going to learn Shakespeare. I'm like, are we performing Shakespeare? No, we're just going to read it and then talk about it. And you're like, maybe we could read something more relevant. Like, the Dead Sea Scrolls. No, is that not?
So there's like some stuff I'm trying to do where it was better than when I was a kid. Like, for example, I like, as like a little mini lesson, I taught the kids about analyzing song lyrics, because like it's a little microcosm of analyzing a book. So I bring up Hey Ya by Outkast, the banger. And I go, what do you guys feel when you hear that song? And they're like, oh, it's a party song. And then I pull up the lyrics. I'm like, okay, this is a breakup song. And then go through, why are we so in denial when we know we're not happy here?
That's like that. Semi-charmed, what is it? Yeah, Semi-charmed by, by Third Eye Blind. Is that what it is? You always heard it at the mall. You know what I mean? Like you're out shopping. And it was always like some up and go part of a movie. It's usually a chick flick, and you listen to the lyrics. You got to read the lyrics, really. You got to read them. You're talk about like meth and banging the crack addict in the hotel. You're like, what the fuck is going on in this song?
Yeah, or like
that's fair.
Or like you hear like "Born in the USA" by Bruce Springsteen at like right-wing political rallies. I'm like, that song's like making fun of you. Guys.
Well, that's the worst part. You're going like, people are like, this is such a catchy tune, let's use it for a thing, and you're like, have you listened to the song? Like, it's a great song. You're like, no, I mean, really taking the time.
Or you have people with like Every Breath You Take is their like wedding dance. I'm like, it's about a stalker, guys. Not great. Okay, so anyway,
or Lips of an Angel is a big one at weddings too.
What is?
Which is Lips of an Angel by Hinder. Have y'all heard that one?
I don't think I have.
It was a big smash hit in like 2006.
Okay.
And it's about it's like an old rock anthem about a dude who's like he's missing his ex-girlfriend while his like wife is in the other room. It's fucking crazy shit. And people play it at their weddings nowadays. I'm like, what the fuck?
See, when I think of 06, I just think of Feel Good Inc. by Gorillaz, which is also not a very happy song.
I think it was about the same time.
Yeah. Well, that's the
So-
power of music. But anyway.
Yeah. So after doing Hey Ya, I then get like someone give me their favorite song with lyrics in it, and then we pull it up, and then I had them do it. So it's just like different stuff.
Yeah.
Where, like later in the year, I'm going to do a dystopian novel, but I'm not going to be like, here's 1984, we're doing that. I'm having them vote on one of 3 books, and then go from there. So at least there's like some autonomy.
What you should do is have them vote, tally the votes, and then choose something that's not even an option, and just go. Now you guys know how it is here. Okay,
that's brilliant. I gotta do that.
Yeah, that's
oh my God,
that is dystopian world. We're like,
Yeah.
hey, you guys, all y'all, it's good. You guys got involved. You debated. Have them do debates as to which. Make them argue about it, and then pick something else. Be like, no, you're not in charge. Did you not?
Yeah.
Did you not realize that's the whole lesson? Like that is a better lesson.
I know that's
book, right. Like
that is so smart. I need to do that because I already leaked.
I'm proud of myself. That's pretty good. Yeah.
I already leaked which of the 3 that we're going to be voting on, and then my sister was like, "You need to get an author that's not just a white dude," and I'm like,
"Sure,
that is true." So, *Handmaid's Tale*, Margaret Atwood, female author.
Okay.
I don't know authors.
Listen, *Handmaid's
Tale*. I don't know
Tale.
what they look like most of the time.
To be fair, neither do
people
I.
would be
It's
like,
not something-
"You have to pick a black author." I'd be like, "I thought I did." To be honest with you, like, I don't know.
Jane Austen sounds black. No, it's
Yeah.
Shelley Silverstein.
Yeah.
That was a man, I thought.
Listen,
Or Shel Silverstein.
I would
It's a
definitely,
dude,
like,
yeah.
I would definitely try and find. See if you. I don't know what you could find. Like I'll be honest with you. There's not much out there that like dystopian is very sad. It's disappointing, right? But
Yeah.
like that's definitely how you can really like. You can get out of the gate and piss everyone off, and I'm going. So now you have a taste. This is how it goes, and then like, yeah, you know, what? I'm kind of proud of myself for coming up with that.
No, that's
good idea. Yeah.
Well done, Mr. Genetic.
Thank you.
That
We're like a
was-
family here, people. We work
Oh my
together
God.
on things.
Yeah. That's probably a good segue. So yeah, we're talking about like the angst of a new job.
Yeah.
On the show here, and
Which I feel like okay. So let me ask you guys this, okay? When you start at a new place, do you ever say like, okay, I know the mistakes I made at the last place I worked or the last thing I did, so I'm gonna try and lead with a different idea. And then within about 12 minutes, you're like, fuck this place. You're like, I'm just gonna do what I do. I don't give a shit. Like how like is that a normal thing? Because I found myself every time I changed departments, I'd be like, I gotta not talk to people, and then immediately I'm like, hey, what's up, losers? And it's like it just immediately goes downhill. So
like where you try, like you think you're gonna reinvent yourself and then you just don't.
Yeah, I am not capable of that. I was having this discussion with somebody else about acting, and I'm like, I'm not a good actor. Like somebody's trying to convince me to do improv, and I'm like, I'm not good at that because I'm just good at being me, not good at anything else. Like I'm like Samuel L. Jackson or Jason Momoa. That's who they play. It's just Jason Momoa. That's it. Samuel L. Jackson plays Samuel L. Jackson in every single movie. He does a great job. Don't get me wrong. But
same
I can't do
same with
else.
The Rock. The Rock does that too.
Absolutely, absolutely, right? It's just one of those things, and that's why I'm like, yeah, no. Every time I'm like, I'm gonna try something different.
No. When I first got there, so you were telling me this. The history teacher, the 12th grade history teacher, told me this. She's like, don't let them know you're new. Don't tell them you're new. They'll eat you alive.
Yeah,
right.
They smell fresh blood.
I get in there, and part of like me introducing myself is I have to go, I'm epileptic. Does anybody know what that is?
We've noticed.
Here's what to do if Mr. Novak has a seizure. Yeah. So like it's kind of showing my belly immediately, which means I can't do the like hard ass routine. I kind of have to just be me.
Well,
I feel it because it's hard to be like that badass like general of the army when your own brain can just take you out,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just doesn't fit.
Like I can't really disagree. However, okay, but remember in Super Troopers how there was the guy who had like one arm and one leg, and then they were like, he's the most badass sergeant in the whole, like, right? You're going, Like, so technically, yes, but like you got it's a different.
Or like
thing, right?
like Cotton Hill, like Hank Hill's dad in King of the Hill.
Where,
like
he's got no legs.
Yeah, where like his shins were blown off, but he's still like the scariest character.
Absolutely,
You know?
Bro, Atlas, I would, as like a power move, I would walk into class one day with like a Mento and Coke in your mouth and just.
Just totally mess with it. That's not a bad idea.
Fuck with me.
So here's the question. Okay, so in case people watching didn't realize, was when I first met Atlas, we were doing a comedy show on Eargasm Comedy, which is still around. It's kind of not doing much, but it is still around. And as soon as no, he wants to get back to it too. Ryan's not a bad guy. He's just has other focus, right?
I know. I'm just fucking with you, but it would be the equivalent of like. So I used to have this friend. Fuck that guy. And
I mean, that show that he threw for when Atlas came to town wasn't a bad show. It was a good show. It just he just has no consistency whatsoever.
But that's the thing, is he's got too much going on, so he's trying. Anyways, let's go back. Is that as soon as Atlas was like, "So I'm epileptic," literally everyone on screen just was like, "Click, click, click, click," and started looking for a flashlight somewhere.
Jesus Christ!
And he's like, "It doesn't work that way. That's not my kind of epilepsy." And we're like, "Oh,
bro, you should have just."
Yeah, you should have faked it and then be like, "Fuck you guys! You think you could take me on?" Like, just
you could have really had the whole fucking room in the palm of your hand that night if you just faked it and then you were like, I was just kidding, look them all right in the eye.
The best part was like he was in his car too, and like people were like, "Are you homeless?" He's like, "I'm just driving home from work, you asshole."
Yeah, and then there was one time. There was one time I had the day off and I was doing it like in my room in my apartment, and they were like, "I don't believe you."
Yeah, you're like, "Whose house did you rob? What are you doing in there?" And he's like, "I didn't rob it. This is my house." And we're like, lies. But that's the thing, is like the best way to be yes, saying you're epileptic it kind of exposes you, like it exposes an immediate weakness, but also it's important that you show them, be like, "Oh, you thought that was weakness? Oh, no. You have no idea what weaknesses you have, and as an adult, I will destroy you with," right? Like, you have to show them who they're fucking with, right? Like, it's like people walk up to me and good.
But like, I've been on roast battles and stuff. I've gotten heckled all the time. So like all the like little barbs and stuff you get from kids are like,
I used to have this friend that was colorblind. We were in high school together, and like anytime that the big reveal that he was colorblind would come out, everybody in the whole like parameter would usually grab something and go, "What color is this?" And he's like, "I don't know." And then everybody was like, "Good point." Like,
my three brothers are all colorblind. Like they are not like just red green. Like if two colors are very like intertwined, they'll only see one color.
Got it.
So like my one brother who passed away, he like would color stuff in, and they're like, "You got it wrong." He's like, "What are you talking about? That's the color." And they're like, "No, it's not." And you're like, "Yes, it is." And then you're like, "Oh, he's colorblind." And the teacher's like, "Well, that's his fault." And you're like, "Man,
well, that's his fault."
Oh yeah, no, it was a bad, like, when we were young, you didn't get to be like, "Well, I have a problem." You have to consider, like, I'm left-handed. They're like, "Nobody gives a shit. Learn." Like
it's the devil's hand.
There was none of this safe zone bullshit nowadays, is what you're saying.
Even the same thing. So that same brother, at my dad's shop, the tip of his finger got popped off, but it actually was like the tip of his finger just before the bone and his fingernail. So it got caught underneath a piece of steel, and just all of a sudden you hear, and it popped, and it went like 2 meters, like right in front of me. I'm like, "What was that?" And then he's like, "Wah!" And you're just like, "Oh my god." So,
I just imagine somebody like it's like tabletop football and they're doing this with their hands.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. It was and the funny thing is, it was the same day we were supposed to go to a parent-teacher thing. So my parents left me at the shop, took him to the hospital. He came back with like one finger wrapped up and a whole cast across his arm.
Oh my god.
Like it was the 80s. It's as if nobody knew how to do anything. They're like, just the one finger. Okay. Yeah. And you're like, okay. So sure enough,
it was the medieval times, right?
Yeah, kind of like it was a weird time in the 80s. So because this would have been like 80, 89, 90 around there. Like, yeah, it would have been in grade 5. So it was like that happened, and it was like, and he was left-handed, so it was his left index finger. So he couldn't write and stuff. And they're like, learn to write with the other hand. Remember everything. And he's like, it's not like you're like, oh, I have a video recorder on my phone. They're like, no, there's no such thing as recording video. You're like, are you insane? You're like, no, you'd need like $9 million.
I think that's a perfect opportunity to quit school. Like
at the mature age of 12, go get a job in the mines, boy.
Right? Yeah.
As you do,
As you do.
You already got the club hand to break the rocks.
It's a good point. So. That's the drilling finger. It's, just, it's all bandaged up. It's good. It's no problem.
Speaking of fingers getting cut off, try being like 19 years old as like a butcher's apprentice. This is like probably my second or third job ever. And I had just moved from like the fryer department, or like I used to fry chicken, and they needed new butchers, and I didn't know why. I immediately found out why. I think maybe a week in, the dude who was training me had this like bone saw that goes like what is that, like vertically?
Yeah.
And you're supposed to cut like legitimate bones, like oxtails and shit like that. Absolutely. And I mean, he showed me a few times, and I just was not comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
100% this was my fault. 100% this was my fault, because I was just like, I don't know about this bone saw yet, man. I can cut everything else. They could turn roasts into steaks and everything else, blah, 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 blah. Sure. Pork chops, all chicken, all that good shit. The bone saw still freaks me out. And he was just like, you just got to do it like this, dude. And then he like just looked up at me, no screaming, nothing. And just, I got to go to the hospital. And I'm like, I see that. I see that you do.
I love how nonchalant he was, where like, just imagine like, you said this was in Texas where this happened?
Yeah, this was down in Texas when I was still, Yeah.
So I'm just imagining like, I gotta go to the hospital. Like either that or like imagine like a Russian.
I mean, his voice did kind of like jump an octave or two. Like I gotta go to the hospital. You know what I mean? But like real slow, like a Southerner talks. Like
I'm in need of medical attention.
Like, oh jeez, Rick, I gotta go to the hospital.
Like not enough for it. Like it wasn't. It didn't raise so much that like.
It's not alarm.
Yeah.
It's just
it was definitely a different voice coming out of him that I'm used to,
I suspect it's blood loss. It's like, I'm gonna need something different today. You're like, did you just do a shot of something? What happened? He's like,
did I win the Powerball?
So what's funny is like they had to replace that guy because he was like the only like certified butcher at that store, which is why they were trying to hire me on too. So they had to bring in somebody else because it was like a chain grocery store. So they had to bring somebody else from a different town or whatever to come and like train me and do the job and shit, get shit done. And like I think 3 days into him being there, dude fucking drops and has a stroke. And has to wear the helmet and all this shit. I'm like, I can't work here. This is not good for people.
Aye.
I'm 19 years old and I'm seeing too many near-death experiences in too close of a proximity of time with people who only thing they have in common is that they work this job. Fuck this place. Like,
no.
That is some evil shit, right? Like
when you go to a new place, you said you like say you're gonna be the quiet one, but you just end up talking to people.
Yeah.
How quickly do you guys make friends when you work in a new job?
Never.
Oh, I try and keep people away for at least a day, but it usually doesn't last. Like within a few hours, people are like, "Hey, man," and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, queer?" And they're like, "What?" And I'm like I immediately jump into insulting people, and they're just like, "You're a good guy," and I'm like, "I'm not. I'll kill you."
I've had people tell me they're like I'm their best, like one of their best friends, and I'm like,
I don't know.
I hang out after I leave this job, and they're like, "Yeah, we are," and then I never speak to them again. Like,
bro, I had I remember going up to somebody, and they're like, "Man, we're like best buds." I'm like, "Sure, we are." Jim, and I grabbed their name tag and was like, "Jim, yeah. We're best friends, sure." just because I was like, you are getting way too comfortable with me.
Yeah.
One guy's like, hey man, yeah, I'm having some problems with my wife. I'm like, hey, you should probably talk with a therapist. Why are you talking to me? He's like, well, we're friends. And I'm like, no, we're not. We're coworkers at best. And I'm like, I came up with this idea where I'm like, there are 3 levels of friendships. Okay. There are people you know. Okay. So that could be someone you've worked with, someone you went to school with in the past, things like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I know who that person is. As in, if somebody's like, hey, do you know Jimmy Joe Bob? Yep. I know his face. He's got a weird slanted eye or something, you know? Then there are people you associate with. So somebody say you've had a conversation with, right? Like I have associated with certain comedians, not all of them, but I'm like, if I have never associated with you, I'm not going to friend you on Facebook because I'm old and I don't do that, right?
Yeah.
And then you have people who are your real friends. And those are people that you're like, hey, you're buying lunch today. Fuck you. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I bought lunch yesterday and now I'm poor. So fucking you buy lunch, asshole. Right? Like it's people you can talk to like that.
Okay.
But like that.
I have friend people on Facebook that I work with because like they'll be like, "Hey, Cole, I found you on Facebook. Why didn't you accept my friends request?" And you guys see what's on my shit. You know what I mean? See what I post. No, I don't need that getting back to anybody in charge. I need a job at the moment.
You just become Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. You can't handle my feed.
No question. That's guy. When people friend me and I'm like, "Oh no, now I know your name. I'm gonna block you." They're like, why would you block me? And they're like, because I don't like you. I don't. And they're like, what? I thought we were cool. I'm like, no. We just work together, man. Just relax. Maybe someday. I'm like, maybe someday I'll unblock you, but for now, I don't need you. I don't need you in my business. Okay.
I feel like a very like Ron Swanson approach to work. It's like
you have to.
Let's not hang out like ever.
No.
Yeah.
Like so I used to do a bit on this where I was like, so there are a few stages in trying to like as an adult making friends, like because you have to make couple friends, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is like so as an idea, I went and visited Cole in Cleveland. Okay. I would not bring my wife to Cleveland. That wouldn't be a thing, right?
Yeah.
So in the same sense, it's like, okay, so now I'm going with my wife to LA to go to Atlas's wedding. Okay. Cole is going to be coming. And I'm like,
and I'm not bringing a wife to LA either.
He's not. So I'm like, so there'll be nights where I'm like, honey, you're going to stay home. I'm going to go with Cole. We're not going all together. That's not how that's going to work. Right. And people are like, why would you do that? I'm like, because it's a different dynamic.
Yeah. Because there are friends that you know your spouse isn't going to like. So why even bother? You know?
Right there. It's right, he's right there.
That's the guy.
Your wife's not gonna like me? That's fucked up. I'm just finding this out just now.
Just so you know, Katie doesn't like me. I'm a bad influence.
Oh yeah. No. Well,
not.
The reason being is she hears bits out of context because I have headphones in. So it's just what I'm saying.
There's not much context to this shit we say, if we're being honest.
I'm a bad influence. It's that simple. And she's like, that fat man is bad influence. And now you're like, he's lost so much weight. And she's like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Right?
And the funniest part is like you're gonna meet her.
Oh, and you know what? I'm gonna be I'm gonna be sickeningly sweetly kind and be like, this is my nice, gentle Asian wife, and we are just kind people. And she's gonna be like, what is happening? Like it's gonna freak her out.
And I'm gonna go up to both of y'all's wives and be like, what it do? You know,
hey, my wife is gonna look at you and go, oh, absolutely not.
Other people I'm excited for Dino and Victoria to meet. My mom. My professor friends, shout out to Hawkins wherever you are. These guys don't even remember phone books. They're that young.
I used to beat my brother up with phone books.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Yeah, I remember the phone book. Pull out.
That's the only use we had. I don't know why we had so many.
Hey, the weirdest thing I've ever seen was when I pulled up to a friend's house and I looked and there was like a stack of like 70 phone books just on the road with like somebody had drawn a sign like nobody needs these anymore. You're just you're not being friendly to the environment. And then I'm like, has your internet gone down? And they're like, no. And I'm like, that's why you need it because you're stupid. You're just so dumb. That's why.
I love the idea of like, so you know how when politicians will filibuster, usually it's they read the phone book, right?
Yeah.
Hooray! Good job.
Moved into a college dorm. So looks like you're trying to get somebody pregnant. Good job.
Well, anyway, so
it's not worth it. As the only not
I want one of it.
Go ahead. But
if either of you guys are still alive when I die, because let's be honest, there's like a 50-50 shot. I want one of you to come to my funeral, get with a phone book, and just treat it like a Bible, right? Where you're like, and now a reading from the book of phone, and then just open it to a random page and start.
The book of phone.
Yeah. Not if I have gay sex. Well, listen, hey, you can't get pregnant in the butthole. That's factual. That's true.
I used to literally throw phone books right in the recycling. Isn't that the reason that AAA is called AAA? Because they would be at the beginning of the phone book?
That is 100% correct. And it is retarded. But
it's
weird to see Gino on YouTube and he's not hanging there like a zoo animal. Also factual. That's
Wait, what?
Oh, so I do. So Atlas, other people are actually very supportive friends and they follow me on YouTube. And every day I will hang from my thing and try and like do little lifts.
I watch those, but I don't know what he means by zoo animal. You don't really look like a zoo animal when you're.
Listen, you're gonna see me in person. You're like
gorilla, bro.
I look like a gorilla. That's like, and a couple of, you know what? Tomorrow on my short, I'm gonna walk up and be like, and come up and stop. Right. It'll look proper.
Yeah. Try having him like walk towards you in your hallway of a shoebox of an apartment first thing in the morning. You're like, whoa! I forgot you were here.
He's 80% silver.
Maybe 90, 85 plus. Like definitely. Yeah. That, like honestly, I think the reason that Joey and I got on so well together is because we both look like the missing link. Like, there's no question. You're just like you look too. And I was like, what do you mean? It's just discount Tim. Oh
my god.
No, this is the thing is you can't. Especially when you're working with people, they yearn for friendship, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, and it's the same with comedy too. People want to be like, oh yeah, man, let's hang out sometime, and you're like, no, I'm good.
No,
right?
No.
And so now people are like, hey, do you want to come to my show? And I'm like, oh, I don't want to be around you at all. And they're like, what? I'm like, oh, I'm like, you're funny, but you're just a bad person, and I don't really want that in my life anymore. And they're just like, you think I'm a bad person? I'm like, no, I know you're a bad person. I've seen how you act. Like, just
that's one upside about being from LA, because like I'll have other comedians be like, hey, come to my show. And for the people who moved here from wherever it is they're from, this is like comedy. There's no family out here, right? It's either that or their personal lives immediately. I have me, fiance, my parents, her parents, and my sister. So like I have so many excuses built in to my domain.
That's the thing is like having my wife where I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna go home and have sex with my wife. And be like, hey, do you want to hang out? And no, I want to go home. Right?
Well, what's my excuse then?
Oh, you just hate people in general, which
right,
is
100%. Well, here I actually just realized, just put this together just now. You two are the only comedians that I have ever hung out with outside of like doing like a show or an event or anything. You know what I mean? So literally, you two, only you two.
Yeah, like
I don't fuck with comedians like that.
That's the thing is a lot of comedians aren't real people either. And the fact is, like, Atlas is a real person, theoretically, right? Like, California, nobody is a real person in California. So, of them, he's a real person, right?
It's like I was born in it, molded by it. Like, you merely adopted the Los Angeles.
Exactly.
I did not see the Hollywood sign until I was already a man, shit like that, whatever.
Yeah. So, like, his egg was hatched underneath H. It's fine. And the Hollywood signs. That's where they hatch and then fall down the hill. And they're like, another one. So, Cole's a dad, which I'm like, yeah, you got to be a real person for that kind of shit. Otherwise, you're just like, I'm going to ruin this child immediately, right? And then you have me, who I'm like, I had to pretend to be a real person for like 30 years. And then I started doing comedy. And I was like, oh, finally, I can just take off this mask. You know, it's great. So I had to be a real person for the longest time. So that's the difference. Is a lot of comedians, you're like, oh, you're not a real person. You just pretend to be one, and you're like, you have no point of reference because everyone you know is a piece of shit, right? So that's why,
and like there's a expectation that it's like a zero-sum game in comedy, where like if I'm doing better, that means you don't have a spot on that show.
Oh,
great
Atlas,
person, mediocre kisser. I am.
I've heard that. I've heard that.
Wait, from who?
It's like a little bit of too much saliva and not enough tongue. It's a weird combination, but
I heard you were like the pussy eater, like 3000 though.
No. I had a guide for it beforehand. That doesn't mean I'm good at it.
I literally have zero desire to visit some hot ass Hollywood sign. I feel like, Joey, a lot of what you visit is just hot ass and then a word, right? Like it's hot ass XYZ, right? Like it's just.
The funny part is he didn't put the hyphen in hot ass, so you could put the hyphen on either thing.
Right? He's going to Hollywood or he's going to LA in December. It's not going to be hot.
No. But here's the thing: if he doesn't include the hyphen, that means it could be that's a sweet ass car or that's a sweet ass car.
It's definitely a sweet ass car. How much you want to bet? As soon as Joey lands, within like 10 minutes of seeing you, Alice, he's going to complain about the heat.
Oh, I guarantee you. Yeah,
I feel like Joey is. I liked hanging out with Joey because he gave me cookies, and that was just great, right? Like that's an enjoyable. That's really how you. I'm like
anybody who gives me cookies is all right with me.
Those cookies almost killed him in my fucking parking lot.
That's also true, which for me, highlight of the trip.
Now I just want to see like a TV show where Dino gets in the time machine, visits different historical figures,
try cookies.
See if they give him cookies. So he like shows up and like Mussolini gives him cookies, and he's like, you know what, he's all right in my book.
Dino, had you died that right there in that spot, we were on camera. We were in a blind spot at my apartment. So like, you're a foreigner. I'd have left you. I'd have been like, that's it. I contacted your wife, but
season 2 of Serial, starring
from like a burner phone.
Yeah. Bro, that's Dino getting General Patton baked. Yeah, that's no, bro. Yeah. There was many of you will die. I'm willing to make that sacrifice. It's fine, and that's why, like for me, I'm like, oh no. My brain's like, some organs might not live. That's fine. We'll live without them. No problem.
Sacrifice I'm willing to make.
I like how both of y'all had like, I don't know, like woozy, like life-altering experiences, like illnesses when y'all came to Cleveland. Because Atlas got like really sick while he was here.
I got like a fever and then just burned it off in 24 hours.
Yeah, he caught like yellow fever in Cleveland.
That seems accurate. I feel like that's what Cleveland gives off, right? Like I literally got just, so this is the thing is up since January, I hadn't been taking edibles or smoking weed or doing anything, right? Like, so every once in a while I'll have some cigarettes, but that would be about it. I landed and it was like, all right, cool. We're going to go, let's do this. As soon as I sat down with Marco, it was like, all right, joints come out, cigarettes come out. And then he's like, by the way, I have this vape pipe. And I'm like, okie dokie. And it was just like from then until I got on the bus to leave, I was shit-faced. It was great. It was a great trip.
I just imagine, so for newer listeners of Generation Dan, Marco is the distilled essence of pure chaos as a person. So I'm half imagining you get on the bus with him, and then he pulls out the pipe and he's like, so I just watched this new show called Breaking Bad, and all like that blue stuff looks really fun. You want something like this?
Listen,
I can easily see him doing that.
Oh, listen, that was the best part was like when I arrived, the weirdest part about arriving, and this is like one of those funny things where, you hear about places and people will tell you about things you're going to experience and stuff. Whereas when I arrived, I'm like, Cole was exactly how Cole is. Marco was exactly how Marco was. And then Joey was exactly how Joey was. I'm like, all right, you guys are all retarded, but I was expecting that. It's fine. It's cool. It was a good.
Did you really think we were faking it? Like, you think we were actors or something?
Okay, so you don't understand how many people I've met, and I'm like, why are you like 5'7" when you told me you were 6'2"? And they're like, oh well, I just do that for the story. I'm like, I assumed one of you might be a midget. I assumed the other one might be just like some sort of like 6 raccoons in a trench coat. Like it was.
I love the idea of Dino expecting everybody to like just pull a Kirsten Cinema. Or like, I'm going to be this, and then they're just not. Marco is Cole is AI. What?
Is Cole as AI?
Oh, as AI. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Yeah,
that's
that makes sense.
It's and the highlight of the trip was Marco's tongue piercing. I didn't experience Marco's tongue piercing.
Neil always brings up the gayest shit. I swear to God, man. He's always telling me to smile in pictures, and he's talking about Marco's tongue ring. Like, dude, come out of the closet already.
I think Joey misses the Air Force. That's why he's like, "Hey guys, what's up? Let's show me your tongue ring." You're like, well, "Why? That is an aggressive." It's an aggressive opener, Joey. I'm not sure. But that's okay. But that's the thing is, people are just like that.
Isn't it crazy that you guys came from another part of the world, like after a 3-year-long pandemic, and then you come to this like forgotten city, and the first thing that you really come up that happens is this dude with a backwards hat is here, put this in your mouth and try it, like suck on it. You know what I mean? Like, no, bro. Get the fuck out of my face. That's it.
I'm kind of glad I waited till Thursday to hang out with Joey. Like it was, it was one of those things. I am high. Forgot what that was. Well, that's fair.
I don't even know which thing he's talking about, but whatever.
He's high off his tits, and that's what makes him funny.
I have a question for you guys. Have you ever quit a job within a month of starting? Because apparently that's like a thing where a lot of Gen Z kids will quit a job without having a backup. So you're getting all these things where they get hired, they get onboarded, and they realize this sucks, and then they just
Bro, I was like a champion of that shit. My baby mama hates me. She still brings it up in conversations from down the way. I hear about. So, your baby mama said that you were a bum when you were together. Yep, sure was.
Wait, baby mama said that you were a what?
A bum.
A bum.
Oh, a bum. Okay.
Well, right. I don't know, man. Like, I just don't have patience for people like, in like the whole chain of command. It's like Joey's keep telling me to like join the military to like save my financial issue or whatever. Dude, come on. I'd get my ass kicked. Come on.
It's chafing at authority, and like because middle managers have to like justify their existence.
At best, okay. Let's be very clear though. Cole is not a bum. Okay. And he's not a hobo. He's what's called a tramp. And I'll tell you what the difference is. A hobo travels and is willing to work. A tramp travels but avoids work if possible, whereas a bum neither travels nor works. So technically, he is a dichotomy of not wanting to travel for reasons, though, but he only works when he has to. And I respect that because you're going, hey, man, there's more to life than just working. So he is a tramp. He's a non-traveling tramp.
And I'm just looking for my lady.
Yeah, well, listen, that's a respectable desire, right? Like that's fine.
Like we're getting to a point in society where like post pandemic, people are just like, oh, work kind of sucks, and I want to do
it's the worst.
Less of it, and like so, I'm trying to look at work, and I'm also trying to teach this to my students, where like if you are getting enough to like have sustenance for yourself, food, rent, etc.
Yeah.
Don't let that define who you are, and get your sense of self-worth from like what you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And the people around you. Like a lot of the times I met my coworkers, I don't say like, aside from what do you do? Like I went to my sister's wedding a few weeks ago. Instead of saying what do you do, I would say what do you like to do? Yeah. And most of the time they're like, wait, what? Like I'm supposed to like to do stuff?
Oh yeah,
like, the idea of having a hobby is just very not much of a thing with older generations.
It's also the idea of looking for joy and happiness in your life is like a complex. You're like, oh, I'm doing that when I'm retired, and you're like, you're not going to live until retirement. Just to be clear. No, bro, and I'm not trying to say that to be mean. It's more so that I personally, because like I was a financial planner, that's a real job, like where you meet, like you change people's lives permanently, right? Like it's a big deal.
You help them plan their finances, I hear.
It's not just that. I'm like, listen, like my biggest impact on somebody was I changed their cash flow on a monthly basis by $2,200.
Wow.
Positive. Yeah. Like, I'm like, don't, and I'm like, and I lowered their retirement by 10 years. I'm like, don't, like I actively change people's existence, right?
Well, what the fuck? Why aren't you doing that for me?
You need a job to start, okay? That's just
I have a job.
You need, anyways. The point is this, okay? Like when you see that, you're like, I am helping people reach these milestones in their life, and they're like, hey man, like, are we still on track for retirement? I'm like, listen, because so a little explanatory thing is, as you get closer to retirement, you should be more conservative in how you invest. The reason is because you can't handle the volatility because you'll need those resources, right? That's the whole idea. Okay. So as you need them, you should be in a less volatile situation. You can't eliminate volatility because then you eliminate growth. Yeah. So you just have to manage it to be a little bit tighter, a little more narrow, and a little more fine. But in that, people are like, well, I'm hitting my goal soon. I'm like, hey man, if you want to now, you can, but in a little while, you'll be spot on. And they're like, awesome. Now, watching somebody going, I retired, you're like, awesome, that's great. And then you get a card and saying, hey, this guy passed away. And you're like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
You retired a month ago. You're like, you got vacation for a month. Like, you haven't taken vacation in years. I know you haven't taken vacation in years because you're like, oh, I'll just work overtime. It'll be good. It's
So that's actually a phenomenon I've read about, where it's like it's the whose was it? Was it Newton, Isaac Newton, who said a body in motion stays in motion, a body at rest stays at rest.
Correct.
That's a real like legitimate thing that like older folks have to continue working, or it will literally kill them once they stop.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, but I've heard of it on multiple occasions.
No, I was talking to like a couple of the teachers around me are like getting older, and they're like, I'm retiring at the end of this year, in a couple of years, or whatever.
Awesome. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. And I was like, what are you gonna do then? And like, one of the math teachers was like, I'm learning all these languages so that I can travel. And I'm like, that's cool. How you do retirement. You retire and like go do shit. Go like expand on your hobbies, learn new skills, and like just keep yourself from getting bored. I literally think you can be bored to death.
So number one, Joey, what job was it that you got fired within a month? Because I want to know, because I feel like you to get fired to get fired before your probation is done, like you have to make an effort, right? Like you have to really try.
Yeah, you kind of have to know that it was going to happen, almost.
Well, you should like, you'd be like, I'm not going to stay here. Like, I'm going to stay as long as you'll pay me, but it's not going to be long, right?
I got fired one time from Denny's, and it was the only job I ever got fired from. And I was working night shift, and literally we just got maybe 2 customers every single night, except for maybe Saturday night. So like this was like I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday, and at this point I'm just I'm tired. Why the fuck am I here? You know what I mean? So I decided to go on the printer and print funny jokes and leave them all over the fucking store. Like I don't know. I think I said like 10 million days since the last unicorn sighting. Caution, tiger crossing, just dumb shit like that. And the owner came in the next day, and he didn't think it was funny as I did. He said, "Are you on drugs?" And I was like, "Sometimes."
Yeah. Probably the wrong answer. I think I know why you got fired.
Denny's. So there are still a couple Denny's in the Toronto area that I have gone to, like in the middle of the night, because there are
not many left. That's the funny part.
There aren't. But like, do people still fight at Denny's, or is it only Waffle House?
That was a Waffle House thing. As far as I know.
Thunderdome. I know that.
My sister works at Waffle House. She calls me like 3 times a month to tell me about a new fight. I'm like, oh my god, in New Orleans. New Orleans, where it's a fighty city already.
That's a fighty city. Yeah, that's true. That is definitely a fighty city.
Welcome to New Orleans, the city of fisticuffs. I think that would be a pretty cool thing on the sign.
You're not to walk around drunk all day. There's 24 hours you can buy alcohol.
Oh, but you can also walk around drinking.
And you can walk around with it. Yeah, of course. I'm like, you work at Waffle House?
Hey, Cole, how much do I need to get together for us to? I'll take the bus to you, and then we'll drive to New Orleans for like
it's about a 15-hour drive for me.
That's fine. That's not. We can do it. I think. Okay,
I know I can do it.
If it's 3 of you, you each take 5 hours, and then.
No, I'm not driving. I'm an asshole. I'll pay for gas. That's.
I mean, 15 hours of driving. I drive probably 8 a day already. I can knock out 10 or 12 in one fucking sitting. If I'm being honest with you.
If you tell me, see, this is the thing: is the advantage that Cole has is that he constantly drives, so he's not uncomfortable with the long drive. It's more so that, like, what I would do is, listen, you tell me where our stops are, I'll find us a good hotel, pay for it, so we can stay the night, good hotel, good shower, maybe a jacuzzi, and then the next day, like, so because you're at the end of the day, you should have like some Epsom salts and stuff. I'm old as shit, right? Like, I can't be cooped up like that, right? It's not gonna work. But all right, we'll talk. Let's see. Maybe we can go down there, because in all honesty, I've never been to New Orleans, and I feel like I could get away with beating the shit out of somebody.
It's not what it used to be, at least, because I went during like the pandemic, like 2020 October. So like, but I don't know. It's still not back to what it used to be yet. So.
That's okay. I like it that way. But this is my question, Atlas. So okay, here's for both of you guys. I'm finding now that it's more so about experiences as opposed to having things that are more valuable, right? So learning and doing things like that are much more beneficial on a daily basis. So when I meet people, especially at work, who are like, "Oh, what are your hobbies?" and they're like, "I work," and you're like, "Yeah, but what do you do?"
Yeah, what do you like to do? They're like, sleep. You're like,
Yeah, you're like, "I go drinking." You're like, "Oh, that's alcoholism."
yeah.
You're like, do you like watch any TV
Smoking
shows?
weed. That's a big one right now. Smoking weed.
Oh, you know what? So this is the thing, okay, guys. Like, so I don't know how much you guys experience this, but for myself, right? Like, if you smoked weed, like you were a dangerous person. Like, ooh, right? Like,
Like
that's
Joey
what
Edwards.
That's what
yeah.
Dare told us. Remember that?
Yeah.
Cole?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You walked out with a fucking doctorate in drugs after that little
Yeah.
talk.
Where they're like, if you do this with this, and you're like, oh shit, you can do that. Like,
listen, like I would tell people, like I remember a cop coming in talking about Buy Mad, the Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, oh, I've seen people with like $1.86 in pennies in his mouth, so he wouldn't run a breathalyzer. I'm like, so pennies don't work. Good to know. Okay, let's write that down. Pennies don't work. I'm like, what if you have bad balance to begin with? Can you? And the guy's like, so why are you asking me weird questions? I'm like, I'm just trying to be prepared, son. I'm like, I'm cool here. These guys are losers.
Look,
I'm like,
they're Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I'm Dino against getting caught.
I'm Dino against being a loser. That's what I am. But that's the thing is like, when you're going through that kind of stuff, like, so now there are a lot of people that are my age who are like 420, and I'm like, it's legal. No one cares.
You're not fucking 19, bro.
You're not cool because you smoke weed. I'm like, I can just go to I can order it on my phone. I have mushrooms coming on Wednesday.
Yeah, there's like, okay, you know, like a bunch of the kids in my class, like when I was their age, weed shirts everywhere, right? Fucking 420, blah blah blah. Now they're just like, at some point, right? The funny part was we were like talking about something where like a character did mushrooms, and they're like, oh, mushrooms. Where the thing that's taboo is the thing that they want to try. So I was like, look, I'm not gonna say don't do drugs ever, but maybe wait until your brain stops growing. Because I told them the story of like, you know, a few months ago, my dad told me when he was like 22, he did mushrooms for the first time and described in detail what the ceiling looked like. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's what happens when you're 70, have Parkinson's, and don't keep secrets from your kids anymore. But like, if you take away the taboo from it, it just becomes less enticing.
Well, this is, and you know what, the one thing,
legalize it, man, or whatever.
I always liked what Atlas told me about how he asked his dad, who's an ophthalmologist, which is like a fancy doctor. He asked him like, "Hey, oh, whatever, that's fine. That's just as good." And it's eyes are complex. That's fine. Yeah. So in turn, he was like, "Where do babies come from?" He's like, "Okay, well, here's a book, and this is it," and just told him the thing. You're like, when you go through something actually properly, you're like, listen, you should be aware. And like for me, okay, so literally I've taken mushrooms twice. Once it was at a movie and they didn't kick in until I lied down in bed and I don't remember what happened. Then the second time I took 2.5 grams. We were at a cottage and I just felt dumb for about 6 hours. So people would ask me questions and I'm like, I should know the answer to that, but I can't think straight. I'm sorry.
That's every day when you're on seizure meds. You just, I haven't won an argument since 2010. It's fine.
Listen, that's fine. Look, just be happy you're not one of those kids that shouldn't have survived kindergarten with peanut butter and jelly. Okay, like you're fine, right? It's a better thing. But so now, I have some coming on Wednesday because I talked to a buddy who takes mushrooms regularly, and I'm like, hey, I can't. So you should never take mushrooms by yourself. That is not a good thing.
That's like benching by yourself. You need a spotter.
You need a spotter. Just and you know what? It's or even someone who is more experienced in the vicinity who be like, hey, something's going wrong. Maybe you should take a nap.
Right. I'm stuck.
Yeah. You're like, hey, I need some help. And they're like, hey, yeah, it's okay. There's people here. It's no problem. Right.
Right.
And that's why I'm like, so I was like, hey, would you mind walking me through the process? He's like, yeah, no, absolutely. He goes, buy this, buy this, buy this. He goes, I'll send you a link to a thing. And I'm like, they're coming on Wednesday. I'm like, I'm looking forward to a good weekend. My wife is going to be angry at me, but that's okay. I want the new experience because I think it'll be fun. I've never successfully done it, So I'm like, why not, right? If anything,
I don't think I'm ever going to do nothing like that. It doesn't sound attractive.
Well, so the only other thing was DMT, which I'm like, is it like 15-minute bursts? Which I'm like, that's very attractive. And also, because my concern with this is this, okay? If I take mushrooms, we're talking about 6 to 8 hours of who knows? And I'm like, so when I was, 9,000 pounds and possibly a descendant of Godzilla and or some other dinosaur, that's not where you're like, hey,
King Kong was right there. We had the gorilla thing from earlier in the episode.
I feel like I'd be more leathery, but I'm just saying. So
okay,
it's and also I eat a lot of garlic. I definitely have nuclear breath. There's no like I just and just burn right through. So
too much garlic. I know Atlas gets that one, right? The Jackie Chan Adventures.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Yeah.
No, you know what?
I know that cartoon, boy. I watched that cartoon.
It's a good ass cartoon, is it not?
Great cartoon.
Great show. Yeah.
It is.
You know what concerns me though? Like in the sports gambling was just kind of legalized pretty much across the country.
Same here. Yeah, up here.
And OnlyFans kind of took over last year. Sex work is a thing. Weed's kind of been drugs in general. I mean, you saw what happened in Portland. Oregon? Drugs, gambling, sex work, all this shit. The U.S. and I guess Canada too are just like, sure, fine, fuck it.
Yeah.
And you know what kind of guy who just suddenly starts pimping hoes and gambling and selling drugs? You know what's going on there? That's somebody who's about to lose the house. You know what I mean? Somebody who's like, bro, we're not gonna make this mortgage this month. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That's I
don't like what's happening.
It's not a good. Like I've had meetings with people that they're like, every time I drive by, I spend every penny I have, and I'm like, yeah, you have a problem. You have to go get help. And they're like, well, I don't want to do that. I'm like, then you're just gonna lose everything. That's goes, well, maybe you could lend me some money. No, man, you have a real problem.
You have a problem.
Like you have a gambling problem.
You owe China money, a lot of it.
Yeah, bro.
It's funny. The same teacher who told me like don't tell them you're new was also the same teacher who said like they can sense they can sense bullshit, so just be yourself. I'm like, okay, well it's one or the other, right? So just like so it seems like just being forthright and forthcoming with that kind of stuff with drugs, with whatever the thing is.
Just be straightforward, right? Because it's just like, listen, if you're doing it secretly, right? Like when I was young, it was also booze, right? Because drinking age is 19. The funny thing is, for me and my brother, it wasn't a big deal because I was like, yeah, I had a beer when I was 12. It sucked. It tasted like piss.
Yeah, that's
fine. I'm like, why? Because I'm Greek. Okay, in Greece, they're like, if you can pay for it, you can drink it. That's fine. And they're like, I can't pay for it. They're like, I'll drink it anyway. Who cares? What are you gonna do? It's a beer. Get over it.
Bro, when I was in high school, everybody thought I was like the pothead or the alcohol, the alky or whatever. All the time, people come up to me like, "Hey, you know where to go?" Blah blah blah. And even teachers would like sometimes like imply that I was like that. Yeah, the drug addict or the alcohol. And I'm like, I mean, sure. Really, in high school, I was more of a prude than I am now. I mean, y'all probably thought that I was an alcoholic or a drug addict for the most part, and then Dino comes to town. And I think Atlas, when you came to town, you didn't really see me fucking get too high or drunk either.
No,
like I give off a vibe. I not always have, and I resent it.
It's the beanie plus the facial hair. I think that's the both together. Is what's causing it.
It's laziness, bro. Is what it is.
Yeah.
There's a cartoon character with the exact same beard and hat. There you go. I gotta find it. Yeah, and you give off mad like scoundrel vibes. You're like, don't leave your wallet out. Just keep it in your pocket.
Wait. Give me the definitions again.
That's fair.
Between tramp and hobo and what
a hobo travels and works.
Okay.
A bum does not travel, does not work as much. Like they adamantly avoid both. And the tramp travels and works when they have to.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So
hobo, travel, work. Bum, neither. Tramp, travel, no work unless they have to.
Yeah. A tramp travels and minimizes. He tries to get by on what he has as opposed to anything else. That a tramp is definitely going to sell.
There's 100% what the fuck I am. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like,
that's fine. But that's reasonable. Like realistically, the only reason that you're not traveling constantly is because you have a son and you're like, no, I want to, be part of his life.
I mean, I live in Cleveland. I'm not from here. That's a travel.
It's also that good point. Good point. That's fair.
Idea for a TikTok, just like bring on like talking about like being a tramp or whatever, and then eventually just like film the or like get a clip from Lady in the Tramp and then just be like, haha, that's me. Or it's the Pro ZD sketch where it's like when the video game uses your name.
I call my mom a gypsy lady all the time because like she when we were kids, she moved us all across the country all the time. Yeah. We lived in Maine, we lived in Oklahoma, we lived in Louisiana, we lived all over Texas. Like
you definitely give off gypsy vibes. There's no question there. Like you're like, oh, he's a traveling magician.
Wait. Idea. Lazy and the Tramp.
Lazy and the Tramp.
Lazy and the Tramp. Yeah.
Yeah, that goes for a lot.
Possible episode.
Yeah. Well, listen. In all honesty, that is just a.
Is it like lazy, like Jay-Z, spelled like LAYZ?
I'll see how I feel about it.
That's much better. I like it though.
Like Lazy and the Tramp. Well, because like my dad jokes about how like the Parkinson's and the epilepsy and like the brain fog from the meds are kind of similar.
Yeah.
And so he's like, we should be like a rock duo called Geezer and the Seizure. Like,
that's good. That's fucking great.
Bro, you guys
love my dad.
He's a doctor and you're a teacher now. I'm like, no, you guys need to be musicians and like just you needed to be hobos. You're just like, I'm just traveling the country playing my music. That's fine.
I mean, y'all should think about changing like this podcast name. You got a Greek guy and a Caesar guy. Y'all could be like Julius and Caesar and Seizure.
Julius Caesar. Oh. I mean, technically, Julius Caesar was Roman, but I'm not going to split.
Everyone was Greek originally. It's okay.
Wait. I'm trying to think of like famous Alex Caesar the Great. No, that's not very good. He was Macedonian. God damn it.
It's the same thing. My mom's from Macedonia. It doesn't make sense. Trust me.
Yeah.
I give people shit. I give Dino shit all the time. I'm like Latin and Greek is the same shit. Egyptian and Greek is the same shit. Like it's all the same shit.
Everyone was Greek. So here's the question for you guys, okay? Just so we can round this whole topic out, was that so I'm at an age where I'm like, oh, I'm unapologetically myself. If somebody's like, oh, I don't like you, I'm like, I don't care if you die tomorrow. It's not a big thing for me.
Yeah.
So for yourselves, how close are you to feeling where you're like, hey, I'm just going to be me and I don't care. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat my personality because you're a loser. Right, like I'm just gonna be me, and that's how it's gonna be.
Are you really asking me this question?
A little bit, like okay.
This is a question for Atlas for sure.
I half imagine him walking up to people. Hi, I'm sniffing glue 22, like just the handle as
a little bit.
Himself.
Oh, I stopped doing that. I don't know, 10 years ago, I guess.
Pretty straightforward. I know that a lot of comedians don't say that they're comedians to other people because
tell me a joke. Make me laugh, and then you're like, I'm going to poke you in the throat. How about that?
But it's kind of the most interesting fact that I have about myself. So
I feel that. I feel that wholeheartedly.
I told all the other teachers that I do stand up, and they were
you love to suffer. You love to suffer,
and they're like, "Why?"
None of them said, "Tell me a joke."
Oh, they're gossiping about you because that. You know why? Because that's a feminine job. Even the guys, they're all gossiping in the teacher's lounge. 100%.
I get little bits of tea either from the students about what the teacher said or from the teachers about what the students said. Like I get little pieces here and there.
Oh, that's fair.
Mr. Novak thinks he's funny.
Oh, that's gonna happen for sure.
So far, I think I don't know, but it's
hey.
I don't know. This is going better than I thought it was going to. Like. Things are kind of falling into place, and
have you used your scar for intimidation yet? Like,
yes,
I got the scar,
the battle scar.
Oh no, I definitely did the 2 hands on the desk, getting real close with the wide eyes, and
that's fair.
It's happened a couple times.
100%, Alice. I am going to pretend I'm you and teach a bunch of kids how to play in a rock band. So you know,
you could totally pretend to be me. But you just have to get the California accent. And nasally.
What up, brah?
Atlas,
gnarly dude.
Atlas, if you continue to be a teacher, I'm just going to let you know that at some point I'm going to find a way to break into your school and then put this into your classroom as a portrait. I'm just letting you know that that's going to happen.
I'm even trying to think of stuff to hang up in my classroom because my room used to be the computer lab, and the old teacher who used to work there finally came in and got all this stuff. So I have just like a bare room that I'm trying to think of.
I don't know. I don't think that's a good idea. As a foreigner, I don't think you realize that like American schools are slowly turning into like government property.
Detention centers.
The way that they treat them now, they got like metal detectors and like fucking officials with like earpieces and shit. Like, probably not a good idea.
Listen, at this weight, I no longer pass for Michael Myers.
You will be labeled as a terrorist.
Very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
It's very much. Listen, I can in a pair of overalls. I no longer look like Mike Myers. I now look like just a normal janitor, and I will change his nameplate to, Professor Assless Nocock just immediately. Okay, that's what's gonna happen.
You can't, man. He has You know how hard it is to keep the little respect you have.
Yeah, for real.
From children. Yeah. Okay, it's fucking. As a parent, it's a little easier. These are kids that don't really even know him like that.
There's that, and then like they're all Gen Z kids, which means they're pretty okay. I fear for when Gen Alpha shows up.
I've heard Gen Z is a much easier group of children than any other generation.
Yeah. Well, they've seen the horrors of adulthood from millennials, and they're like, absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah. Could you really imagine the teachers that had to deal with our generation? Mine and Atlas's, with us going, I'm offended.
Can you imagine?
Every time they brought up World War II.
No, we were saying that's gay and stuff up until like
100%, and then we just overcorrected as adults.
Yeah.
This is the funny part.
So, hilariously, guy, like I had a typing class. Okay, I had a typing class.
I had that too. Mavis Beacon up in here. Yeah.
A teacher had a little Kubotan, which is just a piece of steel that you can have on your keys that's this long. And she would grab your fingers, go, don't do that. Grab your hand, put it between your things, and then just start squeezing your fingers. You're like, hey, what? Why are you doing that? And she's like, I told you, don't look at your fingers. You do it again, I'm going to break one. And you're like, what the?
Damn. I was expecting like a telescoping baton or something like,
don't
look at your fingers.
No. It was blatant. And I was like, hey, I'm going to beat the shit out of that person. They're like, please don't do that in front of my office. And I'm like, I can't promise that.
The difference between how they got him to not look at his fingers and for me, it was these little covers they put over the keyboard so you couldn't look at
we didn't have the budget for that. We barely had computers. We were going to use typewriters for half the students. We didn't have computers. It was ridiculous. I'm thinking, listen, as we approach closer to Atlas's wedding is for the bachelor party, we can get shirts with this on them and just be like, it's Syndrome's getting married. I think that's a good idea.
I think you kind of should, maybe a little bit, but
maybe buttons.
Honey,
little buttons.
Where is my wedding suit?
God damn.
Damn.
That's the title of the episode.
You tell me where my suit is, woman. Yeah. I just ordered my suit today too. So.
Oh, nice. Very exciting.
Tuxedo, huh?
It's like from Dumb and Dumber. From Dumb and Dumber tuxedo. With the frills and everything.
Do we have to wear special shit or?
No.
Okay. Cool. Because I wasn't going to.
Dress up. You're not even wearing a shirt, you fucking weirdo. Just buy a suit. That's not. You're wearing clothes, not a shirt.
It's a shirt. It's a button-down hula shirt. It's a Hawaiian shirt.
Katie was like, "It's okay if my dad wears shorts," and then like Katie's mom was like, "No, he's wearing a suit."
I won't wear shorts. I'll tell you that much. I'm not wearing shorts.
Yeah,
I'm a grown fucking man.
Wearing shorts just because like I hate suits that much. But,
grown men don't wear shorts unless they're playing like basketball. They're doing something athletic. Or swimming, which I guess is more athletic. There's no reason to wear shorts, unless you're in your house, I guess.
Also, open-toed shoes are a daytime thing. You cannot wear those at nighttime. Don't say anything, Cole, because you.
I'm open to discuss that one, but
I guess if you have to like take the trash out outside.
I mean, I wear socks with my open-toed shoes, so they're technically not open.
Cole wears flip-flops with socks.
They're not flip-flops. They're slides. Air Jordan slides. Okay, they're $200 shoes.
Number one, that's because the Bidenomics. Okay, this is not because of,
Fair enough. I mean, I didn't pay $200 for them. I got them at Goodwill for like $15, but
yeah, that's the difference. Okay, like it's not, it doesn't count. It does not count. And even still, like they just because they're like, oh, they're Gucci.
Well,
they're
okay. For the record, the next few times you're gonna see me, it's gonna be cold, and I'm gonna be wearing shoes. All right. Sue me for wearing open-toed shoes when it's kind of warm.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. The pandemic was the first time I ever wear shorts outside, and I'm like, because I'm always been of the opinion, I'm like, yeah, Don don't wear shorts. That's I walk into a place where we're like, oh, he must be in charge. Like, I'm like, I don't. And now that I'm thinner, people are like, I'm like, I can get away with shorts now. I'm like, nobody thinks I'm in charge of anything. It's weird. It's very weird.
Well, I guess for comment section for people watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this at Generation Dan on Twitter and Instagram, tell us about what you're like when you first get hired on a job. Are you the same as you are in the rest of your life? Do you get real awkward? Are you overcompensating? Let us know. Leave a like, leave a comment. What?
Yeah. How long do you take to become yourself at a new job? Like, that's the real question, right? Like,
and it's totally okay to say you're full of anxiety usually because you're not sure if you're going to make rent next week. Okay. Because I've been in that situation every single time I got in a job. So
I've been starting to tell people that I'm a wizard professionally. And when they say, oh, how do you guys know each other? I go, French Foreign Legion, and then walk away.
Yeah.
Try it. It's very.
I've used that twice now. It's so good.
It's very you have no idea how much joy you get from messing with people's head. So it was a friend of mine. Just before we go, it was a friend of mine. We were born the same year. She looks a million times younger than I do, but people are like, oh, how do you guys know each other? I'm like, oh, we served in the French Foreign Legion. And then I turn around and walk away, and she's standing there, she's like, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. And she's like, I don't talk about it. And then she walked away too. And I'm like, nice.
She
like,
yes-anded the French Foreign Legion. That's great.
And you're like, that's exactly how you pull that off. And you're just like, it's important to leave people guessing because they're like, oh, I didn't know you served. And
you can't tell people like me that because I'll believe you because like my people hail from like southern New Orleans, okay? Like I know magic's real. All right? Get the fuck out of here with that shit. My people are up gypsies on top of it.
Bro, okay. Off camera, I'm gonna tell you a new bit that I'm working on, and I'm like, I'm a wizard. If you don't believe me, I will prove it. Here's how. and then people are just like, I told my wife, and she's like, oh, that's dark. And I'm like, but kind of makes me seem like a wizard, doesn't it? She's like, it does. Anyways.
Yeah.
So, Novak, I'm Dino the Genetic Marvel. That's Sniffing Glue 22. Follow us, do stuff.
It's all in the show notes / description. So please go look.
Click on it, like it, enjoy it, love it, be part of our team, support us, or we'll cast a spell and your life will be over. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Good night, everyone.